Well, first of all, John, thanks ever so much indeed for taking the time to talk to us today. We really appreciate it, so thank you.
My pleasure, Stephen. Great to be here.
So when you took over 5 years ago as president, you said the world needs IUFRO and what IUFRO has to offer. Now, a lot's happened in those 5 years. Do you feel that's still the case today?
I think it's more the case today, actually. I mean, unfortunately, the problems that I was thinking of when I began my term and made this speech in Curitiba, I mean, many of them have just gotten worse. You know, the biodiversity crisis has deepened, the climate crisis has deepened. However, people are much more aware. I think the general public is much more aware of the urgency of dealing with climate change, which, horrible as the trends are, I think it's a good thing that public awareness has increased. But I think across the board, I think there's a desperate need to use the accumulated knowledge of the scientific community as well as the emerging knowledge and innovation that's coming from us.
This conference has been a great success. And when you come to this conference, there are people here literally from every corner of the planet and covering a huge array of different research specialties. How do you bring all those people and all those places together to form one common goal?
Well, I mean, part of that is, I think it happens anyway, regardless of any effort I make, because I mean, people are, regardless of people's disciplines, you know, they're all working around dealing with common challenges. You know, if it's climate, you see, you know, so much work being done in the social sciences that relates to climate adaptation, for example. Many of the other major fields that we have in IUFRO, you know, we're still dealing with some common challenges. And I think actually the Sustainable Development Goals have actually provided a nice focus for our interdisciplinary work, and because I think all of us are quite concerned about our science, our knowledge reaching decision makers and people who can actually use the information that we have, and focusing these days on the SDGs, you know, whether it's poverty alleviation or climate or biodiversity. And I think these provide nice focal points for all of us.
One of the things I've been struck by is the diversity. How do you continue that trend? How do you continue to bring different voices into your community?
Well, that's the one favor that the COVID-19 pandemic did for us. We had to shift our strategy dramatically in a very short time because for so long we've been relying on these physical meetings for us to interact and to form alliances and personal and professional relationships, and suddenly that was gone. So very, very quickly our network started doing much more online, webinars and meetings of various sizes, including some large ones. You know, we started doing this online. It worked very well, and the real advantage of doing virtual conferences or any kind of activity is that you can bring in people who otherwise would have little or no chance to travel, you know, for economic reasons, for other reasons, and it's been a dramatic increase in the geographic diversity of our participants in meetings, and I think that's what you see here now. I mean, people are got so many more people motivated to get involved in IUFRO. Those who were fortunate enough to find the resources to get here to Stockholm, they're here and really excited about it.
In your president's discussion, you focused very much on translating forest research into forest management. What are some of the challenges that are faced in doing that?
Well, we had 5 very different examples of how, and these were people who were involved either in research management or in land management, and they all had a lot of experience in this interaction between, you know, research and practice. Although there were, you know, great differences in context, the success stories that they were reporting all had to do with successful communications. So that was absolutely critical. You know, the research community needs to understand and respect the people that their science can serve, whether it's communities or policymakers or individual land managers. And when that happens, the decision makers or the communities are much more receptive to what the scientific community has to offer. But this dialogue also helps the researchers to define and design their research so that the results are much more easily translated into actionable advice.
One of the things that we really picked up on in the discussions this week is, as you say, the importance of the communities, the local communities per se. How can you grow that bond, grow that link in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think for IUFRO as a whole, we need to continue to expand our activities in the social sciences. There's no question about it. You know, it's been growing, you know, pretty steadily over the last couple of decades. But I think it's really taking off now, especially with our emphasis on diversity and our emphasis on, you know, addressing, you know, real needs for people and thinking about again, back to the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. You know, it really helps us focus.
Thanks ever so much indeed for joining us, and it's been a great conference. I hope the rest of the week goes well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. It's been a pleasure.